I finally got to test the RadRover 5 e-bike on single track on the trails at Lake Crabtree near Raleigh, North Carolina. It has 16 miles of trails adjacent to a 520-acre lake with multiple parking lots throughout. Though these trails are hardly the technical single track that advanced mountain bikers love to ride, they are quite a bit more than your average RadRover 5 buyer might typically try to tackle. That's why I really wanted to make a video about this ride, to show that this bike isn't just for riding fire roads and greenways. A quick note, this is a 360 or more accurately spherical video. You can pan around to get a better view of the trail or the bike or the scenery I'm riding through. However, if that's not your liking, just put the handlebars at the bottom of your screen and you'll see all of the most important parts of the ride. The trails are shared with hikers, which makes this "Be Safe, Helmets Required" sign so funny. Apparently, someone had to slap a cyclist sticker at the top to clear up some confusion. The RadRover 5 is an e-bike with 80 Newton meters of torque ready to help me haul its 69 pounds up these steep little hills. Not once was it not enough when paired with my legs, which I used way more than the motor to get around. However, I did use pedal assist 1 and 2 at the start of the ride so I could better warm up my 50-year-old body. The trails here are nice beginner trails for the most part. The single track is mainly devoid of rocky sections. However, the trails wind up and down the rolling hills, making the biggest challenge for most riders cardiovascular and not technical. That means they're well within the capabilities of the RadRover 5's components, with the motor allowing a rider to get some help keeping his or her heart rate in check. The trails have man-made features throughout, mainly built of pressure-treated lumber. This bridge is an easy task for a beginner rider, but you'll see some more challenging features later in the video. Some of them are optional, though some must be crossed in order to preserve the trail. I think this is one other area that might intimidate some riders, especially on a day like this one where everything is a bit slick from recent rainfall. This 6-inch wide board is a good example of something a bit challenging that you could avoid, but it's best not to in order to reduce trail erosion. Anyone who says e-bikes are cheating hasn't tried to climb these steep little rises with one. Even with pedal assist, my heart rate averaged 161 beats per minute for this ride, as you can easily hear in my breathing. To that point, even at full power, the RadRover 5's motor is nowhere near enough to just use throttle on these trails. If that's your idea of a good time regardless, get a motorcycle. Trails like these are built and maintained for cyclists, not motocross. It doesn't always feel that way though. On a day after rain like this one, the worst part is all of the slick tree roots you'll find, especially when they're on a climb or side hill. The 4-inch fat Kenda Juggernaut tires have great traction on dirt and mud, but wet roots might as well be ice. If you can't carry your momentum over a bunch of roots, you'll spin out and stop. Some sections of the trail like this one do have technical challenges like small logs or narrow sections on a side hill. It doesn't look like it on video, but I definitely had a little pucker factor going on trying not to slide off the gnarly roots and into the ditch. It wasn't long before I came up on barely a bridge with no sensible choice but to ride over it. It was not super narrow, but it was slick with lots of gaps between the boards, and I was glad it was only a few feet long. A flatter section of the trails has some skill-developing obstacles like this one. I felt like I had a good line to take, so I rode it in spite of its slickness. This little A-frame looked way too slick for my taste, however, so I skipped it. The remaining 2 A-frames were in much better condition, and I had a straight line going over them. I'm not bold enough to pop wheelies over these, but that's part of what they're built to allow riders to do. This next section is the most scenic part of the trail, riding along the shoreline of the lake. The traffic you hear is from I-40, which is just at the end of this side of the park. However, if you can ignore the noise, you're treated to a very nice ride without any technical challenges to overcome. It's hard to tell because of the glare on the screen, but I've long stopped using any pedal assist and I'm providing 100% of the power myself. I'm just going to let this play without narration, but you can skip ahead using the chapters to the next part if you like. awesome. Eventually, the trail ends up right below I-40. You can see the cars whizzing by at the top of the hill. A sharp left turn keeps you on the mountain bike trails, but it gets steep really fast, so I use a bit of throttle to keep my momentum. One of the drawbacks of most e-bikes is that with only one chainring, they don't give you true granny gears like you get with the small chainring on a conventional mountain bike. So your legs lose that mechanical advantage while at the same time having to power a much heavier bike up inclines. Again, e-bikes aren't really cheating in these cases because even with the motor helping, it still requires a lot of work from the cyclist. Oh my God. I am gassed. That was pretty awesome making it that far. Whew. Man, it is a lot more challenging. You need to think of this as a 69-pound fat bike first, then an e-bike second. Especially if you're gonna try to ride without pedal assist, like I was doing. Whew. I rode just under 5 miles in 56 minutes, showing just how challenging even non-technical single track can be. I'm grateful that e-bikes are permitted on these trails, as I don't think I'd be out riding like this without knowing I can use the motor to help me out when I'm at my cardiovascular limits. I have links to the bike and the camera I used to make this video in the video description. Using those links to make a purchase helps the channel. Be sure to subscribe for more e-bike videos. I really appreciate you watching the Tech of Tech, and hope to see you next time.